Hi sewing friends, I just want to take a few minutes to answer some of your comments on my last video where I talked about whether sewing saves me money and also about my everyday tea. Right, so I'm going to look down because I've got your comments here. So Heather, hi Heather, she's in Auckland I believe, yes. Morning, opinion on your t-shirt, love the colour and hemline. Leave it as it is, even with a crop jacket or cardigan will look very chic. I will have to try that actually. Love your sewing Totos. Don't know if I would do the same. I would be interested in the total of garments made in the same time frame and then an approximate price on what they would have cost ready to wear. That is a very good idea. I recently had a look at the Easy Buy sale. Easy Buy is an online store, and I was actually quite horrified how much clothes cost now. They've gone up since I was last buying clothes, that's for sure. She's in an 8-week plus lockdown, so she has to order online. Yes, Heather, we know you're doing it so hard in Auckland. We really feel for you. All of our COVID cases are up in Auckland, so they're locked down at level 3. We're at level 2, so we have a much more normal life. Feeling ya, Heather. Maria, I am agreeing with the common sense in this video. I often sew just because I want to sew, same as when I cross-stitched. I got rid of my finished cross stitches, realising that the joy of the craft was actually in the making. That's very true. I mean, I often end up giving, particularly, I'd always try to make all my muslins wearable so that I can give them to charity. Her wardrobe is full of nice me mades, but she doesn't wear that many. So yes, I will need to review what I've made. Yeah, I mean, all my rambling is really, I'm in the same boat really, that I've got lovely me made clothes, but I haven't necessarily worn them as much. Some of them are just like, I'm in my comfort zone of wearing trousers particularly, and I can get myself out of that. But I think some of them are just like too far away from my lifestyle. Sue, amazing that you kept track of your spending. Oh, you were talking to the queen of spreadsheets here. I'm a bit of a personal finance nerd. I actually think tracking your spending is one of the best ways of making sure that your life is on track, that you're spending your money on the things that you want for your life. And if I seem like I talk about money a lot, it's because I'm doing that fairly firmly at the moment, and that's because I'm only a few years away from retirement. So it's not that I hate spending money, I hate wasting money. I want my money to be on track with where I want my life to be. So actually having a wardrobe of beautiful clothes is absolutely what I like. It's very rewarding. But just I haven't always made good decisions about clothes in the past. Oh yeah, sorry. Remember though you purchased your fabric this year, you still have a large stash waiting to be sewn. So the true cost of your made garments is much less than your outlay. Oh, duh, why didn't I think of that? That's true. That great big stash of fabric that I bought this year from that lady who was destashing, of course it's going to last me years. Yeah, true. Thanks for reminding me of that. Lana, oh my gosh, Deb, you literally had me laughing out loud when you covered your ears and said, la, 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 la. Yeah, I really don't need to hear about, tempting things that I could spend money on. She always tries to work out how much the garment she made would cost her if she bought it at retail. Usually it's quite a savings. I don't really buy expensive fabric, and like you, I take advantage of the sales of patterns and fabrics when I can. Her charity shops don't have fabric. I may have to rethink that Love Notions coat. I opted out for all the same reasons that you did, but I am thick in the middle too and didn't want a belt, but buttoned off to the sides might be nice. Coats for me are hard to buy because the arms aren't long enough. Yeah, I am. When you think about it, if you want to really save money, really a coat or a jacket is so much more expensive than ordinary garments. And like you, I don't necessarily find coats fit me that well because I'm tall, so they're often a bit on the short side. And funnily enough, although I'm so tall, my arms don't seem to be particularly long. Kate. Hi, Kate. It's interesting to think about the cost of sewing. I haven't made much lately because I don't need any more clothes. I mend them when necessary and they last years. It can get a bit boring though, so she made a skirt out of some lovely wool suiting. It fits perfectly, but I'm like you, I wear trousers all the time. I only wear dresses in hot weather, and this skirt is sort of sage green and she has nothing to go with it. Now she's in a quandary. She would never subscribe to a box because like you, I prefer plain stripes or spots, and she likes being frugal, and so do I. And hey, this is no judgment. If you think that you don't like talking about money and you think, you know, I don't even want to go there, you do you. I actually think you maybe got a born-in personality characteristic where you just don't like waste, whether it's born in or whether it's a characteristic that comes from your childhood. I think mine definitely, I always think I had that way about me, but when I was a single parent, for 13 years, and I was very poor, and I got to realise that the thing that really stressed me out was when I felt out of control with my money, when I didn't know where it was going and I didn't know how I was going to pay for things. I didn't mind if we even ate baked beans for a month, as long as I knew where we were, and I knew we'd have more money coming. Actually, my son recently said to me, I remember a lot of lentils when I was young. Leslie, that McCall's Cardi is one of my go-to patterns. The bottom of the main pattern pieces are easy to stretch out as you sew. Consider stabilising it. Well, thanks for the tip. I think the flounce instructions say to interface, but I never have. 2 layers of fabric and stabilised seam is all I've ever needed. Yeah, I thought that, Leslie. I thought, why would you need it, particularly if you've got like a thick knit, why would you need an interfacing as well? It's nice as a vest as well. Do you know, because of your comment, I looked again at the pattern and realised, yes, you're right, it's got like a little vest. And remember, I couldn't find enough red fabric to make the whole garment, and the reds aren't quite right. That I thought, I could just make the vest bit and see. But one thing I will know is whether it fits me. It might actually end up that vest bit in the one red colour be a wearable garment. So yes, thank you for that comment. Sarah, I like the idea of reviewing. Last year or year before, I did a review of everything I have made in the past 12 months. If I wore it, liked it or not, and why, the fit, the fabric type, colour, pattern. So a lessons learned review. That is, oh, well done. I mean, you know, it's probably the other end of sewing. In a way, also, a review is a way to look at your clothes and appreciate them, and appreciate all the joy they've brought you and the hard work you've put into them. It was helpful to try and focus money, time, a vague understanding of styles I liked. I'm also very conscious of what I buy and sew. Have a good week, and I relate to the drive issue. So Sarah, thank you for your comment. She's right. I think, not sure if I really articulated this very well, but one thing I was really trying to get at was that, you know, I had gone from a place where I had found it quite difficult to buy clothes because of my height and my figure. And I'd also been very bargain focused, and I'd made a lot of bad decisions about clothes. And then when I started sewing, suddenly really I could sew anything that I wanted to. And I still wasn't really quite sure what I wanted to make or wear, and I would often get kind of lost in the moment of seeing something advertised and think, yes, I'll have that. So I think she's right. You know, over time we can find our style, but I just don't think I ever really had a chance to even try before. Oh, by the way, what I'm wearing today, I'm going to work in a minute, is Kmart dress. I love the pattern of it, and it's actually, the style's quite good, but you know, like a lot of these really cheap clothes, the fabric is not very good. I've tried to wash it as little as possible, but I can see it's starting to get kind of worn out looking already. I guess, having said that, I don't think that I've necessarily always had good fabrics when I've bought fabrics either. I'm not very good at knowing when fabric is good quality or when it's not. Jane, during lockdowns and recovery from ankle surgery, I did purchase quite a lot of sewing supplies online. Don't think I would like to know the dollar figure, but maybe I should do the maths too. I agree with what you discussed too. I also made the everyday tee, and it's a great pattern and you hit on a good point with the hemline. I will also make some with a shorter, straighter hemline. Yeah, I think I will do the same because I think that's such a useful pattern. I love the cut of it actually, but I think I need to maybe make one with a straight, trace it off and make a version that's got a different hemline so it's more for everyday wearing. Oh, and bear in mind that everyday tee, I have not lengthened that pattern at all, and I'm 5'8", and you see how long it is on me. So be careful if you're a short person. I like the fact you don't have to set in the sleeves. It's not actually one of the things I least like is setting in sleeves. Okay, who else? Helga. Hi Helga, she said the t-shirt looks great on you with the shorter hem, also the colour. Yes, the colour was a big surprise. I like the colour very much, and it's made me go back into my stash and see what else I can find that's light and bright. I didn't say so, but what prompted me to make a tee was the weather's getting a bit warmer now, and I looked in my drawer of t-shirts and they're all black and brown and really dark colours, and I thought I need some bright colours for the summer. Okay, Nancy, I think you made some good points. I sew because I like the creative process, not because I'm trying to save money, but I do think about the costs as I am determining projects and choosing fabrics and patterns. I have all but stopped buying ready to wear as I think I could make that, so do I. That doesn't mean that I do make it. I shop my closet a lot. Look to patterns and sewing vloggers for style ideas and look through my wardrobe, and only after taking time to really consider do I decide it's worth making. I do try to think about how individual pieces fit within my existing wardrobe. What can I wear that particular piece with? What have I got already to style it with? I think I should track my sewing spending for next year and see how much this hobby costs me. Might be an eye-opener. Thanks so much, Nancy. I think you're ahead of me in being much more considering how to shop your closet and what to wear with what. And I do think for me that's the other side. There was the learning to sew, which I'm only kind of so far along the path of that. But there's the other side is knowing how to have things, you know, put things together in my closet. And I do recognise that I don't really spend enough time doing that, you know, I want to express myself through my clothes and through my sewing, but when push comes to shove, I often just grab things out of the wardrobe and go, like today. Hales, Deb, Hales More Sewing. Deb, your record keeping is impressive. I think I'd rather not know how much I've spent this year. As I say, you do you. But since I've decluttered, I've become more intentional about fabrics and patterns. So hopefully next year's spending will be lower. With the curved hem, it looks fine over trousers and leggings, but I found with tops like those, it's hard to layer up as they stick out below cardigans, and that's what I'm worried about, Hales. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to give the impression that the idea of, you know, reviewing what you spend is a negative thing. It's just information. No, Amy. Your videos are always such a breath of fresh air and in touch with reality. I tend to get suckered into buying sewing stuff due to advertising and fear of missing out. Oh, well, don't we all? As I follow many on Instagram and YouTube. I have become more disciplined in the past year and often speak out loud to myself saying, you don't need it. You already have something similar. I am trying to do the exact same thing. If you buy it, it won't make it, etc., etc. I once computed my yearly sewing and shared it on Instagram. Oh, I don't do Instagram, but I'd be really interested to see that. One person kind of laughed at me for taking the time to add it up. The criticism didn't bother me because the results of adding it up opened my eyes to the reality that sewing isn't as cheap as non-sewing people assume. Well, I think even though I probably sew in the absolute most frugal way, I think I'm only about breaking even. Having said that, I didn't buy expensive clothes before, and I'm definitely getting a better wardrobe than I had before, but I think I'm only breaking even. Yes, thank you for that, Naomi. And people making sort of laughing at you and making judgmental comments about either adding up what you're spending on your hobby, or maybe even taking a bit of time over looking at your clothes and going through things and seeing whether you like them or not, and even writing it down. I don't know about you, but when I write things down, it's like I'm telling myself something. So let them laugh. I don't mind. Janice: wear what you like and what looks good on you, not the styles. Leave everything else in the dust. I find a lot of patterns running bigger. I've slowed down getting patterns. Sometimes if you look in your stash, you'll probably already find something very similar. That's true. I mean, when I look at my pattern book, I have to admit that I probably have almost every style, and before I buy any more patterns, it's got to have something that I haven't already got. Or I do make a little bit of an exception for Cashmerette because their patterns fit me so well. If you buy fabric from the stores, odds are you won't save money. Some of the pieces of fabric you find in the thrift stores are adorable and many times better quality than the new ones. Yeah, sometimes you get fabric from thrift stores and I think they're quite old, and I think fabrics made like 10 years ago are probably better quality than ones made now. Just have to look for fading on the fold seam. That is why I store all of my fabrics inside bins in cupboards and not out on shelves, because I've seen far too much fabric ruined by being out on shelves. COVID has closed some of our thrift stores. I don't know where you are, Janice. Yeah, missed them already. Enjoy your YouTube. Thank you, Janice. I really appreciate your encouragement. And here is Jen from Today in Jen's Sewing Room. Dear Jen, well, I'm right there with you on the cheap thing. Yeah, oh man, I would love to go and stay with Jen. She lives in the States and she has access to these amazing thrift stores which are all about crafts. I mean, what an amazing idea. I shudder to think what I've spent this year on sewing, but I've saved in other places, and quite honestly, I think we spend money on things that are important to us. Very true. So it all balances out in the end if you're paying attention. I love the top you're wearing. I remember when you first made it, that you made it the first time, and I really liked it then. And what? You're mowing the lawn? Oh no, the outside is the men's area. They should mow the lawn and clean the garage and gutters and have the roof repaired and all that. Our area is the inside. I stand firm on that. Except for taking out the trash, which is the husband's job, which ends up being mostly an outside thing anyway. So there you go. I'm happy to do laundry, but I will not be trimming trees. Jen, you know what I did? I had been on my own as a single parent, as I think you were, for a long time, and I got used to doing everything. So when I got married again for the second time, I just continued doing everything. Now, my husband is the original Kiwi rural man. Ask him to get a chainsaw and cut a tree down. He'll be there in a second. Ask him to vacuum a floor. It's like I've insulted him. So I'm trying to blur the boundaries, as you might say, in our household, and get him to do some household things. Yesterday it was raining and he couldn't go to work, and I said, well, why don't you do some dusting? He looked at me. All right, Mary, don't forget sewing is a hobby. Most hobbies involve some financial investment, whereas from your calculation, your hobby is saving you money. Well done. Well, I think I'm about breaking even. But Mary, I totally agree. I'm such a believer that yes, you should spend your money where it brings you the most happiness. But I think sometimes that does require us to be a little bit more intentional, because we live in a culture that is saying buy this, buy this, buy this at us all of the time. We see so much advertising. We have so much stuff pushed at us. It's very hard to kind of keep our larger goals in mind. That's all I'm talking about. Teresa, some interesting points you brought up on your vlog for Recost of Sewing. I will need to pay attention to what I spend from now on. I liked your t-shirt. Thank you for your supportive comment, Teresa. I really appreciate you. Barbara, I don't sew to save money. I sew to get a good fit and have what I want rather than what retailers offer. However, I'm not spending more on fabric than during periods when I bought my clothes. Yes, Barbara, I think that's probably, if you're about where you were, you're doing really well. Stitchy Woman, sorry, my phone just ran out of storage just then. I share your attitude. It seems like every message coming at me is buy, buy, buy. It really makes me sad to think of all the useless stuff every one of us has accumulated. Yeah, go down to the dump and see all the really probably perfectly decent stuff that's getting hoiked into the dump. I can resist the marketing because stuff weighs me down and stresses me out. I know I'm happier when I keep things simple and minimal. I tend that way too. However, I don't think that everybody does. I think some people, and I have a relation like this, and she's what I would call a maximalist. She likes to have a drawer full of lipsticks, and that makes her happy, whereas that would make me feel like I'm going to waste half of these lipsticks and I'll never wear them all, so I have like 2 lipsticks. So I do think it's a personality trait partly, but I absolutely think that as a society and a culture, we've got to just learn to be a little bit more careful about our buying because of our poor old planet. Brenda, I think of sewing as a way to make clothes that fit and reflect my likes, personality as well as a hobby. So the money spent covers both. Many people have quite expensive hobbies that the end product has no functional everyday use. Not implying that there's anything wrong with that at all. Whatever hobby a person chooses is perfect for them. I'm doing a horrible job of trying to explain that my money spent covers both. I end up with beautiful clothes to wear and I have a hobby I thoroughly enjoy. Thank you. I agree totally. Actually, my husband, his hobby is tramping, and he ends up spending a bit of money on his tramping hobby because you do need equipment and so forth. And he's got, in a way, some of the same thing. He watches tramping videos and they recommend backpacks and boots, and he has Wilderness magazine and he looks at things in there and thinks, oh, I wouldn't mind that. So, it doesn't matter what your hobby is. By the way, she says, you inspired me to go through my closet and take out the items I haven't worn and won't wear. The result gave me a much clearer picture of what is lacking, and I can be more focused on making garments that are needed. Thank you. You are very welcome, Brenda. The ideas didn't come from me originally. I think I work better when I have less things to choose from, less to look at. Anyway, I hope that didn't take too long, but I just so enjoy reading your comments, and because this is what I do a lot of my YouTubing on. It's an old Samsung Galaxy tablet and it's horrible to type on, so sometimes I read your comments and I enjoy them, but I don't respond because it's so horrible to type on this thing. I just thought I would like to give your comments the space that they deserve. So thank you so much. I really hope one day we can all be in a room together. I know that's probably not going to happen, but hey, we can dream, can't we? Anyway, bye for now. See you at the weekend, hopefully.